Hi everybody, it's Miss Rachel and you're at Cat at Home. So today we are making a letter board, and if you are having trouble figuring out what I'm talking about, here is an example. So we're making a poster board that you can change the letters on. I've been talking to some people and they say that they go to visit their family who might be in like rest homes or facilities where they can't go inside, so they make poster boards and they hold up signs. So hopefully this will give you an idea of how to make a poster board that you don't have to recreate every single week. Okay? So we have, let's make sure we got a little light here. So I'm going to show you our supplies and then we can get started with the actual project. So you're going to need some cardboard or foam cardboard, just something that you can use as the base and background, and you can decorate that base. I'm not going to do that in this example, but you can decorate it, you can color it, you can collage it, you can do whatever you want to make it pretty and beautiful, especially since it's something that you're going to be using over and over again, hopefully. So you'll need cardboard for the back, and then you'll need more cardboard for the little strips that hold the letter in place. So you're going to need a lot of cardboard. If you have a huge Amazon box, that's great. So you're going to need your cardboard. You're also going to need popsicle sticks. These are the ones I'll be using. These are ancient and I've had them forever. So don't go out looking for these kind. I'm just using what I have at home. In fact, if you have the smoother kind, those will probably work better because the other ones almost took my eye out, and you'll see why in a minute. You'll also need a glue stick or Elmer's glue. I'm using a hot glue gun, but if you don't have one, you don't absolutely need it. I like it because it dries pretty quickly, and that's helpful for me. But if you don't have it, you don't need it. Scissors are important, pencil and eraser. And you're going to need some cardstock paper or just poster board. This is some scrap poster board that I have from some old projects that I did. And if you don't have this kind of scrap, or if you don't have poster board or cardstock, just use these mailers that they've been sending in the mail every single day. Like, just use these, and I'll show you how to use those at the end of the video. And we're going to use those to make the letters. So if you're going to use the junk mail, then you'll probably need a little construction paper in whatever color you like. A color that you can draw on and create letters on. So, and then you'll also need markers. Make sure your markers are inked up and ready to go, not dried out like some of the ones I will inevitably use. Okay, so we're going to use this 10 by 16 inch board because it fits on the screen, and I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. But if you want to size this up, you can. It will just require a little bit of math, which isn't that difficult. It's mostly just adding. It's not a whole lot of anything else, but I'll show you how to draw the lines, which you might already see here on my board. So you're going to use your ruler. I'm not sure if I said you need that, but you do. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the edge of my board, and this is along the side. I want the lines to go this way, so I'm measuring this way because that's going to let me know the placement of my lines. So I'm creating my board so that I have a 1-inch margin on the top and the bottom, and then my letters will be 2 inches tall. So I'm going to make my first mark after I line it up with the top of the ruler. I'm making a mark at 1 inch, and then I'm making a mark at 1 1/2 inch, because this 1/2 inch gutter will be where I put my popsicle sticks, so that I can put the cardboard on top that will hold the letters in place. So I know that kind of sounds like a lot, but it will make sense as you go. So I have my 1-inch margin at the top. I have my 1/2 inch gutter here, and now I'm going to add a 2-inch space because for this board my letters will be 2 inches tall. So if you're doing a larger board, this is where we're kind of going to vary a little bit. If your letters are going to be bigger, you're going to leave a bigger space, the size that you want the height of your letters. So I have my margin, my gutter for my popsicle sticks, the height of my letter, and then another gutter for my popsicle stick, so that's going to be 1/2 inch. So I'm going through this so you know what to do once you get on your own. But after this video is live, you can always replay, stop, rewind, and all of that. So I have 1 inch right here, 1 inch and 1/2, and then 2 inches from my last mark is going to take me to 3.5 inches. And these ain't right. And then my next mark is going to be at 4 inches, and then the following mark is going to be at 6 inches, then 6.5, and then the next one should be at 8.5 inches, and then finally 9 inches. So all of that I think is in the caption. So if you're making the 10-inch by 16-inch board, then you have the increments that you need to make your marks. If you're doing it a little bit bigger, you can ask for some help with the placement of your marks, and I will put that in the caption or respond to your comment. So on the other side, you're going to make marks at the same places. You're going to do 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 3.5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 6.5, 8.5, and 9. You want your marks to be the same on each side so that you can line up your ruler and draw a straight line from one side of your board to the other. And I know you can't see that on screen, so I'm going to turn this vertical so you have a better idea. But you just want to use those marks to draw straight lines, and you're just going to line them up and draw your straight lines all the way down to the bottom. And it should leave you with 4 gutters so that you can lay your popsicle sticks in. So we're going to move right along to that. And I have already kind of set this up a couple times before getting on live. So I have as many popsicle sticks as I need to go across my board. But you may have to set yours up if you're doing a different size to see how many popsicle sticks you will need. Because it will be different if you're doing a board that's wider than mine. So I have these little 1/2 inch pieces off to the side you can't see yet. So I know, because I've set this up a couple times, that I need 12 whole popsicle sticks. And then I have 2 more that I've cut in half to fill in these last little spaces. So, and I was able to cut these in half with very little trouble just using my regular scissors. So I'll show you. When you get to this point, if you have your popsicle stick, just make a little mark at the edge and use your scissors to cut it in half. And it's not that difficult. You might want to take your time, because when I cut my other ones, I tried to take my eye out and it flew all over the place. So take your time. It's going to do that, like I said, and just find it, because you'll probably be using both sides. And if one of yours doesn't come all the way to the edge, that's totally fine. It doesn't need to go all the way to the edge. It just needs to give you enough coverage right there. Okay? So the next thing that we're going to do is glue these down. And this is where your hot glue gun comes into play if you have one. If you don't, you can use Elmer's glue, but you're going to have to allow a little extra time for drying. So just take that into account. Don't try to make this like 2 minutes before you're walking out the door. You're going to need to have some time. So I've had my hot glue gun heating up for a while, so the glue is coming out nice and easy. And I know that when this dries, I'm going to need to, or when I have it down, I'm going to need to move fast so that it doesn't dry on me. So I've just set my sticks right off to the side so that I can quickly put them on my hot glue, because if you've used hot glue before, then you know it dries pretty quickly, and once it's dry, you can't use it anymore. So have everything in place ready to go. So I'm going to do that for the next couple of lines. And with hot glue, you always get those strings, which are so annoying. I'm going to try not to fumble with them. And make sure you have extra glue sticks, because I use several on my larger board. And I'm sure I'll go through a couple on this one too. So I'm just going to lay down my line of glue. So you can do the same thing, like I said, with Elmer's glue. you just have a little drying time. And in the caption, I said you needed heavy books. So this might be one of the areas or one of the times when the heavy books might come into play. If you're letting this dry with the Elmer's glue, you might want to set the books on top to really hold your popsicle sticks in place and help solidify that union between your popsicle sticks and the cardboard. And like I said, you can decorate this background. I would do that before I did all the measuring and stuff like that. So before you got started, like right after you cut this down to size, you can decorate the back with pictures and things. Pictures, or even if you just wanted to add pieces of construction paper just to make it colorful and a little more fun. But I'm going to do it this way so you guys see that it is functional without all the decorations. So the popsicle sticks will be covered and you won't see them. So you don't, if you're going to decorate something, you don't need to decorate the popsicle sticks because you don't even see those. But you can decorate the strips of cardboard that hold the letters in place. And those are coming up in just a moment. So you'll see what I'm talking about. But I've created this with, I think I just used like one Amazon box. So depending on the size of the boxes that you have, you can do this with just one little Amazon box. It doesn't take a lot. Or you can get the foam core from the Dollar Tree, or you can even use a poster board. The poster board won't be as sturdy, so you may want to put some cardboard behind it to give it just a little extra support. But there are a lot of ways, or a lot of materials you can use to do this. So there we go. So I have all of my popsicle sticks stuck down, and I've had these popsicle sticks forever, so I'm happy to be using them. So they'll be out of the way. Okay, so now you have your popsicle sticks in place, and you're going to need 1-inch wide cardboard strips. I pre-cut mine because I'm pretty sure you can figure out how to do this on your own. You don't need to watch me cut 64 inches of cardboard, but I will show you my steps to doing it. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our board and making those lines that I used to be my guides here. So with this one, you're going to make 1-inch marks. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the whatever edge I have on my cardboard and make a mark at 1 inch, and then 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch. I'm going to go down to 6 because that's what I have available to me. So, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Line it up with the top, and then make a mark at 1 inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5, and 6. And you can do a little math to see how many inches of this these 1-inch strips you will need. Now I'm lining up my marks and I'm making my lines or my guides so that I know where to cut. And then I would do that all the way down, and then once I finished all of that, you just take your scissors and cut directly on the line. And it will take some time, and you see how long this is about to take me? So, whoop, magic. I have something already ready, so you guys don't have to watch me cut, but you will need to cut your strips out. And then we're going to grab that glue gun or that Elmer's glue and put our glue right on top of our, what are these things called? Popsicle sticks. Because our strips will go right on top of here. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have a little bit of a lip. I hope you can see that. You want to make sure that your cardboard is kind of lined up with the middle so that you have a lip on this side and then a lip on that side, because that's what you're going to slide your letters into. So you don't want your cardboard lined up right with that edge or with the other edge. You want it to be hanging over the popsicle stick on each side so that you can slide your letters into and swap them out. So I will show you that right now. So I'm gonna take my hot glue gun, and this is why I say you need extra hot glue sticks, because this does require quite a bit of glue. And if you're using the Elmer school glue, it will work just fine. You just have to have, you just gotta plan. You know you need some extra time because it will need time to dry. Okay. And this needs to heat up a little bit more. Okay, cool. So I have that one, and I'm going to line that up. So I like this one better than my blackboard right now. I like that it's, you know, color on color, brown on brown. So it's a little, looks a little neater to me. So that might be something you want to do. If you get a colorful background, you may want to decorate these cardboard strips so that they kind of match, because it looks neat and just polished. So my hot glue gun is starting to run out of glue, so we're gonna stick another stick in there. Try to get this going. Try to not look so crazy. Okay, cool. So this might be something that you can do with some friends or something, because it might help it go faster. Or one person can do the glue and the other person can stick the boards down, just so that you know you're getting this together. And you're not struggling like I am right now with this hot glue gun. So we just have a couple of lines to go. Gonna stick your glue down. And make sure you're taking your time with this one and you have things ready to go. Because like I said, once this glue dries, it'll be hard to work with. So last line, last line. So this very small version of this board is really good for just something decorative, maybe in the house. Maybe you use it as a sign for your door. You can write your name on the little cards that I'll show you how to make later. Say whatever your name is, like mine would be Miss Rachel's Room, something like that. Or even the first day of summer is coming up, you could put the first day of summer or something that you might want to put. Inspirational quotes, anything. So, and you can switch it out, which is so cool. Okay, got that. Last one. And I didn't cut these strips to be exactly 16 inches, but that's okay, because I can go back now and trim them down. Let me get my hot glue gun out of my way. So I can just turn this over and cut them down with my scissors, which is pretty easy to do. So you could take your time and cut them down before you glue them on there, which is probably a really good idea. Or you can just trim them down like I'm doing. It's pretty easy. And we're not going to use these pieces that are being cut off right now. So where should they go? I think you guessed it. Right in your handy dandy trash can. Throw it all away so you don't have to do it later. Okay. So now this is it. This is what the board looks like. It's not the most exciting thing right now because we don't have any letters on there. So I will show you how to make the letters now. So we're going to set this off to the side, which is perfect if you're using the Elmer's glue. Now this has time to dry. Put your heavy books on there to press it down. Make sure it stays in place and it doesn't shift. So we're going to get this out the way and start working on our letters. If you have cardstock paper, then this will be a lot easier because you'll just be able to go ahead and measure like we did with the board. So let's see. So my scrap paper doesn't really have any or it has a couple straight edges, which make this a little easier. But if you're using scrap paper that doesn't have any straight edges, just go ahead and draw a line using your ruler to make your own straight edge. And then we'll use this as a guide. So I'm going to line up my ruler because my letters need to be 2 inches tall to fit in my space. So I'm measuring, this is 2, and then I'm measuring up to the top. So now this space is 2 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing a little bit over on my line so that I have 2 marks and I can just go ahead and connect them. And now I have a 2-inch space here. And I've played with this a little bit, so I know that I want my letters to be 2 inches tall but 1.5 inches wide. So you'll need to plan before you start. So I'm going to make another random line, try to make it straight over here so that I have a line or somewhere to measure from this edge, my 1.5 inches, and my ruler's too long. Let me grab another ruler. Ruler's too long for my setup. Here we go. So I'm going to line up my 1.5 inch mark and make a mark right there, and then move down a little bit all the way down here. Do the same thing. So I have 2 marks here to line up with each other. Okay, so now I have 1 rectangle for my letters. So it would be helpful if you wrote out on a scrap sheet of paper what you want your sign to say before you start making your sign, because you'll want to make the letters that you need. But if you're just making this for fun, that's great, and you can just make a whole set of letters. So you can have maybe 2 or 3 sets of letters, and you'll probably want to add some extra vowels in there, or letters that you know you use a lot. Like if you're old enough to know about Wheel of Fortune, you might want to make a extra RSTLNE, but that's old people humor, I guess. So I'm just gonna keep making this grid, and I can make a whole bunch of them. I guess I don't need to make that many, but once you have enough, you can go ahead and cut them out, then write your letters on them. So just use the lines that you drew to cut these out, and make sure when you're cutting, you're turning your paper so that you're comfortable while you're cutting, because that's going to help you cut more neatly. If you're struggling and like doing all of this and all, you know, you're going to mess up. So make sure you're turning your paper to cut things out in a neat way. You'll get better lines and everything. You'll have more control of your scissors. So I'm creating a little bit of a mess on my work area. So since I have my handy dandy trash can, I just put those in the trash. So here we go, those in the trash. So if you have some poster board that's not white, it can be another color. It doesn't need to be white. That's just what I have here. So I also had some pink poster board, so I made some pink letters for my original example, which I will show you a little bit later. So these are my rectangles for my letters. And I'll get my board and show you that this will just slide right in here. Let's see. See? And that will be how you get your letters in there. See, it'll just slide right along. So, but I can feel it kind of snagging on that hot glue. So you might notice that, oh, I'm running long. You don't see the whole, you see some of it gets cut off. So you want to make sure you take note of that when you're drawing your letters. You want to draw it in the area that you will see, because some of it gets hidden under this lip that you need in order for the letters to stay in here. So you might want to kind of slide one in there and just make some marks and then slide it out, so you know on the other ones I need to keep my letters in between these marks. Additionally, when you're making letters, if you're making a really big version of this that you want to be seen from far away, little letters like this are not going to be your friend. You'll want to make your board bigger and your letters bigger, and not only do you want to write them bigger, you want to draw these lines more thick. So instead of using pencil, maybe you use marker and you make block letters instead of just stick letters. Okay, so one more quick little tip. So if you have all these, you're ready to go, make your sign. But if you don't have just plain poster board and you have this junk mail, I'm sorry, DeLorean Holmes is not junk mail, but I know what I'm going to do, so I don't need this information anymore. So I'm going to use my rulers the way that I did to cut these out. And I'm going to do the same for this. I know I want to cut 2" by 1.5" rectangles. So I'm going to use my marker on here because I'll be able to see it better. And my mat that I have under here has measurements on it, which allow me to make these lines more quickly, because I want to wrap this up so you can get started on your board. So I already have the measurements. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these out and show you how to cover your junk mail with construction paper. So you're going to draw your grid on here the way that we did on the last sheet of paper and cut out your rectangles. And I'm just going to guesstimate this last one. Okay, it might not be perfect, but they don't need to be perfect. So after you have your junk mail squares, you'll take your what is this called? Construction paper. And I've glued one on here already. And you see I didn't line it up right with the edge. You don't want to do that because we're going to make this neat. You're just going to put some glue on the junk mail part of it and then stick it down so that you have space around what you just glued down, around your rectangle. You want to make sure you have space on the paper here, around all of the sides. And I would suggest cutting all of your squares out of your mail first and then gluing them all onto the paper, kind of like an assembly line. You do one step at a time and then repeat it until you're finished, because that will help you get through this a little bit more quickly and it won't seem like such a task. So you have those, and I'm sure you'll have words that are more than 4 letters. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'll just do this last one. So you have one row. If you go on to the next row, you want to make sure you have space in between those letters, or those rectangles that will become letters. Okay, like that. And then you just continue that on your paper. And when you cut them out, you want to make sure you're not cutting right on the edge of either one of these. You want to cut in between, because that space in between the paper is really, really important. That's why I keep repeating myself. Okay? So now I have that strip cut out. I'm going to do the same thing here. Cut it out so that I have space in between, or paper all around. Do the same thing. And now I'm going to show you my little magic trick, which is not magic at all. But you want to create what are called mitered corners. And that just means that we're going to cut this paper right here on an angle right where this point will only hit this line one time. So let me show you what I mean. With the ruler, I'll show you. I'm going to cut the paper off right on that line so that that corner only touches this line one time. And I'm going to do that for all of my corners. You don't need to draw out the line. I just drew that so you can have a visual of what I'm doing. And then those pieces of paper go right in my little trash can. And the reason we're doing that is because if we took this and just folded this paper over, you would get all of this bulk here. You see how that's kind of bulking up and it's not going to be a flat corner? Well, with this, when you fold the paper up, we've cut the paper that will create bulk. So you get a nice even corner. So before you fold the paper over, you'll put some glue on there, which is why I suggest the glue stick, because it's going to dry faster and it's going to give you a smoother finish than Elmer's glue or hot glue will. So I suggest the glue stick right there. Then you're going to fold the paper over, make sure it's tight along this edge. You're going to do the same thing. So we get a really neat little corner. So I really suggest you don't skip that step. I mean, if you want to, I can't make you do anything, but you've seen what it looks like when you don't. So then you have all of that folded down, and now you have a colorful square. So if you only had the junk mail, you can use it and cover it up so that you can have a base for your letters, and then you would go ahead and test them out in your board so you'll know where to draw your letters and what color you want and all of that. So hopefully you get to make this board and you use it every time you go visit family and friends and you need a sign. Hopefully this is something super fun and super useful. And I want you to post pictures of what you created with your inspirational quotes, or even just post ideas of what kind of quotes we can put in our board. That would be super helpful. So post pictures in the comments. If you need help on scaling this up, let us know in the comments. We can make arrangements to have the measurements laid out for you so that you can make this super, super easily. And I hope you like this video. Make sure you're following us here on Facebook and on Instagram for updates. Make sure you join us on Thursday for Cap at Home and on Saturday to learn more about the artists who are teaching you. My video is coming up on Saturday, so hopefully I see you there. And make sure you stick around until 2 to join Miss Van for cold press animals. It's going to be super cute. So make sure you come back at 2. And thanks for working with us today. Bye.